Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Straight Up With Steph. Today, I've got my friend and returning guest, Whitney, aka Teeth Talk Girl, and we're talking about misinformation online. If you practice dentistry or if you're a patient, you know what I'm talking about. It's things like oil pulling replaces brushing and flossing, or specific toothpaste will solve all your problems. Whitney even told me today about one about celery water, like curing teeth so that you don't have to get root canals. I don't know. She talks about it. I had no idea that was even a thing. But there's a lot of just random stuff that's floating out there online that is not true. And depending on what it is, it can really affect our patients in a negative way. But it's hard to know when you're online, like deciphering between what's true and what isn't true. Even me as a healthcare clinician, some of this stuff is really good, and it's just hard to know if it's true or not. Today, Whitney and I played a little game just because there's so many topics out there, and we just did like a rapid fire session where I gave her topics that I've seen online and she debunks them. This is great information for both healthcare clinicians and patients. And if you're in dentistry, Whitney has some great ways to talk to patients about this. It's hard because we don't want to shame our patients or make them feel dumb or bad or whatever for falling for this stuff online, but we also want to educate them and just bring them back to evidence-based, scientifically proven things that work. And the things that work usually aren't the sexy things like rinsing with celery water. It's brushing and flossing your teeth every day. Not sexy, but it works. Whitney's just a really fun guest to have. She's got so many ideas, so many good tips for you, and just you can't match her energy. It's awesome. I hope you enjoyed today's conversation with Whitney. Hey, it's Steph, and welcome to the Straight Up With Steph podcast, where we have real discussions around health and life and just trying to be better at both. Hello, Whitney. Oh my gosh, it's so good to see you again. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. It's so good to see you virtually.
I know. It's like all we get, right? So last time we talked about a lot of stuff, but today we're going to be talking about misinformation, which I know you're very passionate about. So why have you decided to start talking more about this and even lecturing on this?
Yes. Okay. So honestly, I never set out to be a speaker. I was never someone like looking for a topic to speak on, nothing like that, because my dream has always been, and still is, bringing light to dental health on social media, especially YouTube, right? Using fun, educational, and even silly videos. We were talking before we started recording. I love doing my Things Patients Say videos, all the silly stuff, whatever helps reduce dental fear and promote prevention. But then over time, I started noticing just how much misinformation was spreading online every single day, every single hour. And since during my master's degree, I focused on communication strategies to combat that exact issue. My entire capstone project was actually health communication, combating misinformation on social media. So long story short, because I see it daily as a dental hygienist and content creator, and with my background now, having studied health communication techniques, I would say this topic kind of found me. It's not the most fun topic, but it's such an important one. So here I am sharing what I've learned so we can all hopefully work together to improve our patients' health in the op and public health online.
Well, I love that you're talking about it because honestly, clinically, it is so hard. It's like we're just climbing uphill trying to dismantle whatever the hell our patients saw on TikTok over the weekend. And there's so much out there. How do you decide what topics you're going to talk about? Because there is so much.
Yeah. So I get ideas from a mix of places. Stuff I see myself while scrolling on social media, questions my YouTube social media community kind of ask about, my followers, my subscribers, comments, Instagram direct messages, and even from things, like you said, things patients ask me in the op when I'm cleaning their teeth. Plus other dental professionals will reach out to me on social media and say like, hey, my patient saw this online. What's the deal with this? So all of that combined, I kind of keep a running list on my computer each week. I have just a Word document with all the questions. And then I kind of decide what to cover next based on, like, I use tick marks. How many people have asked, whatever's being asked over and over, I find is the most important if people are asking it over and over and over. So that's kind of how I decide.
I can relate to that. I have learned so much from my followers as far as what they care about, what questions they have. And it's stuff I wouldn't have even thought of, so that's such a good way to do it.
Yes. They tell you what they want and you give it to them.
Yep, I get it. And it kind of eases the burden, right? So that you don't have to come up with it. You're like, okay, I'll do that. Thanks.
100%. That's so funny. I always find myself too. It's like, I want to make a video about this, but I know nobody cares. Nobody's been asking, but I want. So I try to do a mix of what the people want and what I want.
Yeah. Well, you have to do a balance. I know I
Right.
posted a video recently of something that I thought was funny, and it cracks me up every time I look at it, and it didn't do well, but like we still have to do stuff that makes us happy. Yeah.
100%. I always say that. You have to.
Yeah.
Same with
Yeah.
me. Always my stuff I love the most nobody cares about, but that's okay.
I know. It's like we got to find joy where we can. So because there's so many topics of misinformation out there, I wanted to do like play a little game with you and do like a rapid fire on some of this stuff. So I'm just going to say like what it is, and then you can educate us on it. Does that sound good?
I love it. Rapid fire. No, I love it. I love it. Thank you.
Awesome.
Okay, cool.
For those listening, these are just some things that patients, or if you are a patient, you might see online that may or may not be true. So first one, brushing harder cleans teeth better.
Myth. If you're brushing so hard, this is what I tell my patients. If you're brushing so hard that the toothbrush bristles are splaying flat, they're not cleaning your teeth. You want to use gentle motions with a soft bristle brush. You want to use it how it's designed to be used.
And do you recommend soft or medium bristle?
Always soft or ultra soft, extra soft for sure. You too?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I'm like, can you use it on a baby?
Sure we're on the same.
Like,
Yeah, 100%. There's no reason. And a lot of people, that's the thing. They want to press so hard because they're like, soft doesn't feel like it's doing anything, but it really is designed to do what it does. So you just got to give it a chance.
Yeah. No, that's great. Next one, sugar-free sodas don't cause cavities.
Myth. Even without sugar, the acids in sodas erode enamel, right? Acid is the villain here, not just sugar.
Okay. Next one is you only need to see the dentist if something hurts.
Myth. So tooth pain usually means it's already serious. Like it's no longer in filling territory, cavity filling. Maybe it's now in a crown territory, root canal, or even extraction level territory when something hurts. Not always, but often. But I always say the general rule of thumb is that small cavities and early stages of gum disease won't hurt until they've reached a more severe state.
This is so crucial with the gums too, because I mean, they even in advanced gum disease, it doesn't hurt. It's tricky for patients.
Right. Until they notice that their teeth are wiggling or mobile or moving. And they're like, why is it kind of feeling weird to chew or brush? You're too far gone now. So yeah, prevention is key. We all know that.
What about baby teeth don't matter since they fall out anyway?
A major myth. Okay, so cavities can spread, right? Spacing can get messed up, especially for developing teeth. And tooth infections can affect the developing adult teeth. Ooh, too many D's. Developing adult teeth underneath. So there's just so many things that could go wrong. Baby teeth matter. They do matter.
Have you seen this, Whitney, too, where you've got a kid maybe that had tons of cavities in their baby teeth, but then their adult teeth come in and they're good to go? So like just because you had a problem with your baby teeth doesn't mean you're going to have a problem with your permanent ones.
100%. It doesn't 100% mean it's going to happen. However, it can, right? Or if it's left untreated, it's more likely to happen, right? So if you had really, really poor baby teeth, but they all got fixed and maybe it was poor, we know cavities are multifactorial. Maybe it was poor oral hygiene. Maybe it was the diet. Maybe there were so many things that something changed in their habits. And now with the adult teeth, everything's fine. So it doesn't necessarily mean, like you said, bad baby teeth equals bad adult teeth, but untreated bad baby teeth, if you leave these cavities and infections and everything just hanging out in there, that's when it's going to start to spread too.
Yeah. Whitening toothpaste can whiten teeth as effectively as a professional treatment.
Myth. Okay, so whitening toothpastes may brighten by preventing surface stains from forming, right? But they won't make your teeth appear shades whiter. There's too little peroxide and not enough time the toothpaste is sitting on your teeth. They're just not designed to whiten your teeth.
This is a big one with patients, and it's something I talk to my patients every day about. Like I'm asking them, tell me exactly what toothpaste you're using, because so many of them are just so abrasive and the patients have no idea. They're like, oh, I thought this was whitening my teeth. I'm like, no, it's not.
Yeah. And everyone's different. We all know like how thick or thin your enamel, all these things come into play on if some toothpaste will work for some people and others won't, right? Everything is based on the individual. But yes, they think I'm scrubbing. One day they'll be white. But we know with some of these charcoal toothpastes and things like that, like they're so abrasive, they're actually etching away layers of your enamel. And we know that enamel doesn't grow back. So there's just like a lot of bad things that can happen with some of the whitenings. I never say like I don't think whitening toothpaste is bad in general. I think it's fine if used as directed, but some people, it is bad if you have very sensitive teeth. There's more the reason to always make sure you're not getting advice online and you're always talking to your individual dental provider, your dental professional, your dental hygienist, your dentist. Ask them what's best for your mouth, because not everyone's mouth is the same.
Yeah, definitely trust your provider. And yeah, just because it's online doesn't mean it's true. I mean, we all remember the Tide Pod thing, right? That was not a good idea. And a lot of people did it. So like, just trust your clinician. Yeah. What about, so fluoride's a big one. Fluoride is bad for your health.
Oof. Okay, so actually, that's a myth. Actually, not using fluoride when you need it is harmful, right? There's an overwhelming consensus in science that fluoride is safe and effective when used as intended, like brushing with fluoride toothpaste and spitting it out, right? Sure, if someone has an extremely low risk of cavities, maybe they could go without it. But here's the thing. Fluoride is not dangerous and it's not harmful unless you're using it incorrectly, such as swallowing tubes of toothpaste daily, which you shouldn't be eating toothpaste, right? Regardless, I always tell my patients fluoride is a mineral, just like calcium or iron, right? And in the right dose, it can help remineralize enamel and prevent cavities. And the risk of skipping the fluoride is way more concerning than using it properly.
And don't you think too that it is confusing from a patient perspective? Because when we talk about fluoride, we're talking about two things. We're talking about topical fluoride that's actually put on the tooth, like with a varnish or toothpaste, and then systemic fluoride, like what's in the water. And I think whenever we see this stuff online about fluoride being quote unquote bad for you, it's this the systemic, like in the water. But patients kind of lump everything into the same thing, you know? Does that make sense?
Totally. With the systemic in the water too, a lot of the stuff people are seeing online is inaccurate representation of studies, right? So if you heard it's bad, it's probably because there was too much in it, or it was a bad study, or there's so much that goes into that, which I'm sure we'll talk about later. But yes, they're two completely different things. If someone really doesn't want to do the fluoride in water, you got to be using the toothpaste, you know. So, and yes, there's alternatives, which you could talk about later too. But overall, the general consensus, like biology, science, chemistry 101, is that anything can be toxic at a certain dose, right? So as long as we're using it as directed, there's no problem.
Yeah. Yeah. I do want to, if we have time, circle back to the fluoride thing, just because it's like a hot topic right now.
Sure.
Well, actually, my next question, fluoride is toxic to a developing brain.
Sure. So, okay, that's a myth. First off, this one might not be a rapid fire answer,
That's
but
okay.
I'll try to go fast. Okay. So the word toxic without context, like we were saying, the word toxic without context of the dose means nothing. When people throw around the term toxic without providing context, that's the definition of engaging in fear mongering, right? And spreading misinformation, because any substance can be harmful if you're exposed to enough of it. Even oxygen in the air we breathe, it can be toxic. If we were exposed to high enough levels, our lungs couldn't handle it. So there's that. Also, like we also kind of just mentioned, the studies people cite about fluoride and IQ drops in developing brains, since you mentioned developing brains, those studies are all referring to water sources with fluoride levels way above the recommended 0.7 ppm, which is optimal level. These studies are often referring to double or more of that level. So they're not representative of optimally fluoridated water that's regulated. Plus, one more thing about the IQ studies, and this is very important, they also don't account for any other confounding factors, such as lead exposure. So you're getting correlation without causation on a lot of these studies, most all of these studies, and people are getting really excited to spread this information when there is no correlation with causation. So overall, fluoride, when used properly, like brushing with fluoride toothpaste, spitting out, not eating the tubes every day, and drinking fluoridated water at the optimal 0.7 ppm level is not toxic. In fact, not using something like a fluoride toothpaste when you're at a high risk for cavities, that's the real health risk, right? Since we know cavities can turn into full tooth infections, abscesses. So those can spread throughout your body if left untreated.
Yeah, definitely. Dental x-rays are dangerous and should be avoided.
Okay, yes. So the key word again is context and dosage, right? Yes, excessive radiation can be harmful. If we're giving ourselves a full mouth x-ray every single day for months and months, that wouldn't be a good thing, right? Kind of like the person who invented radiation, right? Kept radiating the hand and realized, ooh, we shouldn't be doing this every single day. So that's why we always follow a LARA principle, right? As low as reasonably achievable. Modern dental x-rays are highly targeted, super safe, such a small amount of radiation, especially the digital ones. Plus, again, the benefits far outweigh any risks, right? Early detection of cavities, early detection of bone loss, infections, even oral cancers, right? If you wait until something hurts again, it could be too late. So routine x-rays help us catch issues before they become serious and costly.
I remember a few years ago, well, it was probably more than a few years ago, but some article or something went viral online about dental x-rays causing like brain tumors. And oh my God, it was like moving through freaking quicksand every day, trying to talk to my patients like, no, it's fine. I mean, this misinformation, like it makes our jobs really hard.
Oh yeah. It makes our jobs hard. It erodes patient trust. They start not believing us, and it ultimately affects patient behavior and can affect their health. It's a big bummer.
Yeah, totally. I actually think I saw this one off of a post of yours. I didn't even realize that it was a thing. Extracting wisdom teeth lowers IQ.
Yes. Okay. So that's a big myth. Of course, there's literally no scientific evidence for that. I'm not even sure where that one started. I honestly, I'm pretty good about finding where things start. And that one, I think someone just made up. So I've seen it circulating, but no, it's not a thing.
When I saw that, it's hard to actually make me laugh out loud. And I laughed out loud when I saw that. And I'm like, how do you even fight that? Like, how do you find evidence against that when it makes like no sense at all?
Yeah, there was a lot of interesting claims on that one. Yeah.
Only get x-rays when something hurts.
So yeah, again, by the time it hurts, it's likely too late. Not too late, but it's far gone. X-rays catch silent issues before they become major problems.
And how do you, Whitney, explain to patients when they come in for like their yearly checkup and we want to take x-rays and they're like, no, nothing hurts. Like, I just want to skip those today. What's your verbiage on explaining to them why they need it?
Every patient is different, right? You really do have to feel out your crowd, right? Some people, if they are so adamant, like I am not doing those x-rays, I will say, you know what, let's start with the perio charting, see what we find. And then so I'll start with the perio charting. That's what I usually do. And then if I'm finding numbers, which we're usually finding some numbers, that's an easy segue into, hey, let me explain to you what the 5s and up mean. I got 5, 6, 7s. When you could give them proof as to why you need these x-rays. Now I'm giving you an example of someone who really is adamant. You said everything you could. I will just swap it. I'll do the perio charting first and then really explain to them how important it is for me to see the bone level, explaining how I'm dropping into such deep pockets. I need to see what's underneath your gums. That more like 9 times out of 10 works. They're like, okay, I get it. Take them, and then they're usually like in SRP territory. Now, if it's someone who you've been seeing routinely and they're just like, nah, I don't want it. You do it every year. Nothing. I don't see nothing. Then I just explain again, like, if you really want to skip that, I always give them the option, even though in the back of my mind, I'm not giving them the option, but I want them to know they have the option. Like, if you really don't want to do this, that's fine. But I need to explain to you what can happen. Right? Like if we catch a small cavity right now, it'll be like $200 or whatever. But if you're going to wait and maybe it's going to be a crown, now it's thousands of dollars, like I just always try to, like, finances are very motivating. So my thing is, you just got to find what motivates them, right? Is it finances? Does it hurt? Like, do they just not want to do it because they hate like their mandibular tori or whatever? We could talk about, find out the reason they don't want it. And then go from there. If it is a radiation concern, of course, I pull out my radiation chart. I show how flying in a plane from New York to California is more, oftentimes the radiation is going to be the most difficult debate you have because they already have it in their mind that it's bad. So I also explain how digital x-rays are so much less radiation than the old school film. I give everything. I have all the information on my website. If you go to teethtalker.com and like my x-ray section, there's like a drop down. I have like all these charts and things you can show them. But that's what I do. I really take there's not a one size fits all answer. Every patient is so different and you just get to see why they don't want them and then go from there. Is it x-rays? Is it finances? Is it pain? I said x-rays, radiation. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I get it. I think too, that's like what makes hygienists so good at that, because we really get to know our patients and we're like, oh, this is a money one, or, oh, this is a like radiation one,
Yes. And then of course, always coming with kindness. I never want to be mad. I know like sometimes we're so busy and we're working and we're like, oh, this person doesn't need x-rays. I don't have time for this. Like, I get it, right? I know, but that feeling, however, we just have to remember that these patients are scared for their health. Like, say it's a radiation thing. they're not trying to bother you. They're nervous and scared, and like rightfully so, because there's so much misinformation. It's not their fault they fell prey to this misinformation. You know what I mean? Yeah. I always just try to remind myself, because we sometimes get jaded seeing one patient after another. We don't want to be behind. We don't want to miss our lunch. So I always try to come from kindness. I just never want to be mad at a patient. Like, I know it's like dampening our schedule. It's messing with our day when someone's pushing back, but just remember, like, we're all human, and they're obviously scared or concerned. They're not trying to ruin your day.
Yeah, no, that's a really good reminder. Next one, bleeding gums during brushing is normal.
Nope, myth. So bleeding equals inflammation. Of course, bleeding happens because you are not flossing, not because you are flossing. So if you floss consistently, the bleeding should stop. And if not, you have to see your dental hygienist for a cleaning, and then you'll have a clean canvas to start flossing without the blood after you get the cleaning you need, right?
Yep, that's like the perfect time to really get motivated to floss. What about oil pulling replaces brushing and flossing?
Myth. Okay, so oil pulling, I don't want to bash oil pulling. Oil pulling can be an addition to your home care routine if you really wanted to, but it's not a replacement to brushing and flossing. Nothing beats the physical removal of plaque from the toothbrush and the floss, or the water floss, or we could get into all the controversial different alternative flossing methods, but something has to remove physically from your teeth. You can't just swish with something.
Okay. Root canals create infections in your body.
Myth. Okay, so it's the opposite. Root canals treat a tooth infection, right? They treat infections. The reason you get a root canal treatment is to remove the dead infected tissue in your tooth, stopping cavity bacteria from spreading, right? It's what saves the tooth.
Okay. I think there's misconception about root canals too that hurt. And it's like, well, actually, like, you're already in pain, and then you get the root canal, and it actually causes like no pain, but it's just patient's perception is kind of backwards.
Yes. And the root canal thing, right? Yeah. Like you just said too. And on that same note, then they're like, wait, my tooth isn't hurting. Isn't it supposed to hurt? That means I don't need a root canal. So there's like this distrust of like, and it's like, no, it's great that we're catching it before it hurts, because it's going to hurt. And then once it hurts, it is harder to get numb and blah, 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 blah. It's like this, it's so hard. It's like, no matter what angle you take it, someone's going to find something wrong with it. So yeah.
I know. I try to put myself in my patient's shoes, and like this shit is confusing. The whole x-rays, like, don't take x-rays unless something hurts. Like, I get it from a patient perspective, and it just makes it hard to like explain to them sometimes.
It is. But it's so great that you're coming from a place where you get it, because then you are going to communicate with them better, because you have that empathetic, sympathetic.
Yeah. It's like, I get it. Yeah. I feel like I know what you're going to say about this one, but mouthwash replaces flossing.
Right. Myth. Same with oil pulling, right? Mouthwash is not a flossing alternative. No liquid, just swishing with it can remove plaque between your teeth. Again, nothing replaces that mechanical plaque removal.
Because plaque it's not just like these random little bugs on the teeth. It's thick and it's sticky, and like just running some liquid over it isn't going to remove it.
100%.
Yeah. Last one, scaling your teeth at home is good.
Big myth. Okay, this is what I always say. Even trained hygienists, us, right? We have a hard time scaling our own teeth due to the angles, right, of trying to see into our own mouths. So that's one. Plus, if you're not trained, now, for someone who's not trained in tooth morphology and head and neck anatomy and clinical care, you can damage your teeth not knowing if you're scaling away, say, at the cementum. If you don't know the difference between enamel and cementum, or you're digging deeper into carious lesions, you could miscalculus, or even worse, burnish calculus onto your tooth, right? Teeth cleanings are not cosmetic. I always just want to try and remind everyone that they are medical, right? So my PSA would be, please don't DIY your teeth.
Yeah. I've had patients, of course, do that. They try to take my scalers off of my tray and take it home. I had a patient, he was chewing. Hey, I think there was maybe some like OCD with him, but he was chewing on sandpaper to even out his bite, his occlusion. Oh, no. And of course, I mean, it just kept moving, like that high spot everywhere. And the wear on his teeth, like every time he came in, I was like, you got to stop doing this, man.
Wow, the sandpaper. I've been seeing the nail files is one that's trending lately too. People using nail files on their teeth to make them all the same, or making their canines really pointy. They want to make them like vampire fangs. And it's usually younger people doing this because they saw it and they were like, oh, that'll be cool. And then they come and they're like, can you fix it? It's like, you can't grow back enamel. Yeah. Like, we have to. It's so sad.
I know. It sucks.
But I can't believe they steal the scalers right from your
I mean, they try. They try.
Yeah. I never heard of that. I have had patients that say, I went on Amazon, or I went to Walgreens, or I went wherever and bought one, the ones that don't, they're like basically explorers. Yeah. But
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm like, absolutely not. Okay. Well, thank you. That was really fun. I do have some other questions. So just circling back to the fluoride thing, because that's such a big deal right now. What do you say to like patients who come in and they're hesitant about fluoride because of stuff they've seen online?
I would say, first of all, it's totally okay to question things. Honestly, I want people to care about their health, right? So I would never dismiss their concerns, right? We're here to help, to educate, not to argue. So I'll start always by genuinely explaining how fluoride fear usually comes from cherry-picked studies, outdated data, or straight up misinformation or disinformation from those who have conflicts of interest, right? People and or companies trying to sell their own non-fluoride products. So I'll also explain how with toothpaste, when used correctly, brushing with it, like we mentioned earlier, spitting it out, using it correctly, fluoride is one of the most researched and effective ingredients we have for cavity prevention. I also explain how toxicity will only occur, again, if you're eating tubes of it. Like we mentioned earlier, it depends on your weight, right? Like whether you can eat 8 tubes or 2 tubes or how many tubes you can eat before it causes toxicity. We shouldn't even be talking about it because nobody should be eating tubes, right? But the same goes for if you drink gallons and gallons of water or gallons and gallons of milk in one sitting, whatever it is, too much of anything could be toxic to your body. So depending on what they're jiving with, what they want to hear me say, but if they're interested in that, I'll like explain more. Like imagine if you tried to eat 20 gallons of water in one sitting. You're going to need your stomach pumped, right? All fluoride aside, not because of the fluoride, but it's because that's a large amount of liquid, okay? Something else I would say, I'll explain how, although yes, cavities are multifactorial, lots of different things can contribute to tooth decay, but avoiding fluoride, especially if you're cavity prone, there's so much research showing what a big risk to your health that is. I have several YouTube videos again explaining all the different fluoride alternatives and why they just aren't as good as fluoride. So I always share those as well if my patients want more information on the alternatives.
With you, because I know that you still practice clinically too, are you getting more questions about fluoride with your patients?
I would say I always have. I haven't noticed like more than normal, but I've always gotten questions. I would say if anything, I am a bad judge of that as well because I am so part-time now. I see the same people over and over and over. So kind of got all regulars. It's very rare when I see a new patient nowadays. So I'm not a good judge of that. How about you?
It's interesting. I've had the opposite and I don't practice as much like you. I fill in pretty much. But I've had patients who are like, I'm not one of those anti-fluoride people. I get more of those than I do that are questioning it, which I wasn't expecting.
Wow,
I was just like, oh, all right, cool. Well, let's do it. Yeah.
Interesting.
And it's almost a political statement now. I feel like whether you're a fluoride person or anti-fluoride, I don't know. It's just getting weird.
No. Yeah.
So
I always try to remind people to like public health decisions are based on science and decades of research, right? Politics, on the other hand, can often reflect varying opinions, beliefs, and concerns, which often don't always align with scientific consensus. So I always say, I hope that helps.
Yeah. Well, and you too, with just like who you are and all of the content and who you have, are you, not that it's self-promoting, but you have so much information on your website. Do you just share that with your patients? You're like, just Google this or just look at this video?
I do now. I used to never say that I did it. But now that it's like, I always said like, now that it's a little more, when I first started being a YouTuber was like, I'm not telling everyone, they're going to think I'm not professional. But now that I'm very proud of my information, I've spent years and years of school and studying and reading and literature, everything to make sure everything I put out there is evidence-based. And I'm happy to share it because I know that I'm a much better writer and I write all my scripts for my YouTube videos than I am right here where I just like go on tangents and I know the information is good and clear and quick and concise. So if I always give a YouTube video, you're going to get a good answer versus like even my friends and family, when they text me, I have a quick question. I'm like, here's a YouTube video of mine. Yeah. I mean, I'm happy to answer it, but like it's quick and concise. They're like usually under 5 minutes, like versus me trying to explain, you know what I mean?
Do.
So yes, I do now.
Yeah.
I'm happy. I'm so happy to have finally built and feel good about all the categories of all the different dental topics that I can just send a video. And it's not time management or anything like that. I'm happy to talk with you one-on-one. It's just like for my family and friends who probably are always like, oh, wow, she just sent me another video. But it's really because I know it's good. It's concise. It's good information.
Well, and you back up what you post with sources and you've got that like in the captions too. Always. And that's just, it's a lot to text, I would just send it.
Right. Because it's just going to be a whole, back and forth. Oh, where did you find that? Where'd you hear that? I'm like, here's my 5-minute, it'll have everything. If you have questions after, let me know.
No, I do that too with my followers and they ask about patient positioning. I'm like, just watch this video. And if you still have more questions, let me know.
Yes. So happy that we've built these platforms to be able to send and help so many people, because you could help more people.
Yeah, your reach is just a lot better. So what is your take on natural things? We already kind of talked about oil pulling, but what about like charcoal toothpaste or other natural things that you've come across?
The natural fallacy in the science world. That's what we're calling it, right? So this is such a big topic in my presentation, which I've now been speaking about dental health misinformation at the dental conferences, stuff like that. It's so important, before we talk about specifics, to remember that natural doesn't automatically mean better. And my example I use is poison ivy is natural, but I wouldn't rub it on my skin. So that's the natural fallacy. Just because something is natural does not mean it's safe or effective. So I always keep that in mind about the natural stuff. Now, with oil pulling, that's a good example of, it has some research suggesting it can help with your oral health. But like we said in the rapid fire, it's not a substitute for brushing and flossing. If you enjoy it as an additional thing in your routine, sure, but it won't do any of the heavy lifting when it comes to the plaque removal. The charcoal toothpaste, another example of the natural stuff, while it can make your teeth look a little brighter because it removes stains, it's oftentimes way too abrasive, again, like we were talking earlier, and it can damage enamel over time, especially the DIY charcoal. So overall, some people are sold on these natural alternatives thinking they're healthier. Marketing has done that. But as healthcare professionals, we need to stick to the evidence-based recommendations, because anecdotal evidence is not the same as scientific evidence, right? And I always remind people that just because something worked for one person, it doesn't mean it's the right solution and or safe for everyone. I could go on and on with all the anecdotal examples, right? With anything, like weight loss, like, oh, I started drinking this tea and I lost a bunch of weight. You don't know what else they were doing. They could have been exercising. They could have also changed their diet. Same. So that's like a good, easy example. I feel like that I use with my patients, but same thing with dental stuff. Like, oh, they started oil pulling. Cool. And they have like great teeth now, but what else did they start doing? Did they also make it a point to brush for 2 minutes every time? They used to never brush for the full 2 minutes. Did they? There's so many other things that there's too many variables to ever take anecdotal evidence in a healthcare setting.
Yeah. And I think it's good for patients to, like what you said, feel free to add this, because we don't want to like make our patients feel stupid or discount what's important to them, but being like, it's not a replacement. Like, feel free to add it at the end or whatever, but it's not going to replace traditional tried and true things. Have you seen any really dangerous or super misleading trends that worry you?
Yes. Okay. So absolutely. I mean, everything, honestly. But one that really sticks with me, I know, one that really sticks with me was a trend. Well, it's still ongoing. People saying to drink celery water. Have you heard this one? Celery or celery juice, even, to heal an infected tooth. Okay, there's this big group online. Instead of getting a root canal, you drink the celery water and it'll heal your tooth. You won't need the root canal. That's terrifying, because by the time you need a root canal, that of course means that tooth infection has already reached your nerve. And if you ignore it, you're just swishing with celery juice or water. It isn't doing anything. That infection, you're giving it time to spread to your bloodstream, right? That's not just a dental problem anymore. That could be a serious medical emergency. So even if the celery juice healers, swishers truly think they are saving you money, that's their angle. Don't get root canals. The dentist is just making money. Buy my celery juice instead. You know how that goes. Anyway, but if they really think that the celery is removing the infection from your tooth, now you won't need a root canal. No! Lots of these trends we see may seem harmless. Like, oh, I can just swish with that and try it. But when they encourage people to delay or avoid necessary treatment, that's when it becomes dangerous. So yeah, things like swishing with coconut oil or using baking soda for whitening, those might not be the worst things in the world, but trying to cure an abscess, a dental infection with celery juice, that's where I personally draw the line.
I haven't heard of that. What's the logic?
It has healing properties, Stephanie.
Does it?
No, I don't know. You know what I mean? That's the thing. It's like a lot of these stem from, and I never want to bash like any kind of ancient medicine or any type of alternative medicine. I never want to bash that. But again, the issue is when you're delaying treatment, when we know there's a proven infection, they think it's like kind of like oil pulling when they're like, it's doing whatever they say when you're swishing, right? Yeah. Like they say the celery has something in it that pulls out the infection. It's not based on anything. That's why it's hard for me to even explain it, because it doesn't make sense. But it makes me really concerned that people are doing this, because we all know you can die of a tooth infection. Right. You know, that can happen. So if you're just prolonging it, and we also know that if the pain goes away, that doesn't mean the infection went away. Yeah. we all know that that's going to come back one day when you have a big bubble on your face or a big swollen face, because now it needs to go somewhere. This infection needs to get out. So that's what concerns me, is people probably think, oh, wow, the celery water, it worked. But no, you just waited until your tooth died, you know, but that infection's still there. So it's just, again, education is everything. But yeah, that one concerns me. So shoot, now that I said it, if your phone's around, maybe you'll hear about it.
Yeah, it's right here.
You know, I know, you know what I'm joking when you say it and it's listening. Now you're going to get all the celery water propaganda. So that's a stressful one for me.
Yeah, that is scary. So do you ever get called out or like pushback or anything when you talk about misinformation?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Yeah. So that's why at first I was hesitant to start speaking on this topic, because I knew my fun YouTube life wasn't going to be the same anymore once I started diving into all this. But I also knew how important it was. And if I didn't start tackling this online now, how long until someone else does? You know what I mean? I felt like we couldn't afford to wait. So here I am. Took one for the team. No, but no, truly. But the pushback, it's usually coming from two types of people. One, well-meaning folks who genuinely believe this misinformation and they want to help me. They think they're helping me regarding what they think they know. And that's fine. They are usually open to learning and sharing different perspectives. But two, the people who are intentionally spreading disinformation. That's what we usually say. Disinformation is when you're doing it intentionally. Misinformation is when you don't realize it's wrong. Anyway, they know it's incorrect. It's oftentimes conflicts of interest. They're trying to sell something, either their product or an affiliate link with a product. They're pushing the science to make it sound better for their narrative. And with that group, it's tough, because they're doing it knowingly. They bash evidence-based treatments just to promote their own natural products or whatever they're selling. And it gets very negative, and I don't like to engage with negativity. I'm open to a healthy debate. But when people start yelling right away, how are we ever going to learn from each other? So I always try to stay neutral and open-minded to most everything until it comes to patient safety. Then that's when I have to speak up, right? If a product or a DIY practice is genuinely helpful and safe, amazing. Or if it's not doing anything, whatever. Yeah. But if someone's entire marketing strategy is tearing down proven treatments to create fear and boost sales, that's unethical.
So how can your average patient or viewer tell the difference? And it's honestly, it's only going to get worse with all this AI, like deep fake stuff. But how can they tell the difference between something that's legit and something that is just like clickbait?
Yeah, it's not always easy, but I think a few red flags that I have in my presentation to look out for. One is if it's framed as a secret. The secret to white teeth, big red flag. Nothing is a secret, because if it was actually good advice, it wouldn't be a secret anymore. People would be sharing it, right? Nobody is gatekeeping about the secret to dental health. We all know this. Another thing is if something or someone or a product promises quick fixes or miracle cures, like the purple toothpaste, miracle teeth whitener, right? Nothing's a miracle. And like if it was, again, you would hear of it. We would all be sharing this miracle. Another thing is if they never cite sources, or if all their sources are just opinion pieces or testimonials, it's not good, right? If they are going against the larger majority of research, again, it's great to be skeptical. But why should everyone trust that one person and not the rest of the scientific community? Why does someone think they know more than everyone else? And if someone wanted to make a difference because they had a hunch, if they really wanted and thought they knew more and they found, they would be in the lab doing real research. They would not just be sitting on social media scaring people of their skepticism and conspiracies. I'm very passionate about that, because if you are a scientist or a healthcare professional, you know how this works. You can't just like say, oh, this is what I think. You have to go in the lab and find it out. And lastly, honestly, not always, but often, if it's being pushed by someone with a discount code in their bio and no healthcare credentials, just be cautious. I know more and more healthcare influencers are promoting things. That doesn't mean it's a bad product, but if it's a non-healthcare professional promoting a healthcare item, just remember everyone's trying to sell a product.
Yeah.
So be careful out there.
And it's hard too. I find myself just getting more and more cynical, which I don't know if cynical. No, I think that is the right word. I am getting cynical, but it's like, and it sucks too, because I've had products where I have a discount code or a link or whatever, but I really believe in it. But then we've got those people that are just doing it for the money, and it's like ruining it for the rest of us.
Totally. Very well said.
Yeah. It's just,
it's tough out
there. It is tough, but those are some good tips. And okay, so that's in your presentation that you're going to be giving at RDH Under One Roof this year?
RDH UOR. I'm also going to ADHA in October. I'll be presenting it there as well. And I'm also in June, I'm going to be at the Today's RDH CE virtual day. So yeah, I got 3 big ones coming up. So Yeah, hopefully, I really hope it helps professionals not only be able to recognize some of this information, because there's a lot of professionals that maybe aren't really up to date on social media. So the first time they hear of some of these things, they hear it from their patient and they're like, wait, I haven't even heard of that one. So I think I'm really proud of my presentation, because not only does it help you combat the misinformation, but it tells you this is what's actually going on.
Yeah.
So like, be aware of, they might be asking about the celery or the swishing or so then you know it, and it's not the first time you're hearing it, having to combat it, right?
That's awesome. And I mean, look at you for someone who didn't want to speak, and you've got those are some big shows that you're going to have under your belt. That's awesome, Whitney.
Thank you. I'm thankful. I like being behind a camera and the video. I don't love being on stage, but you know what? I really just keep reminding myself I'm not there for me. Like, I'm there to help. And I hope that's going to like help me not have stage fright, because the information's so good. I worked 2 years studying this during my master's, and I'm currently in my doctorate continuing my kind of learning about all this. But long story short, I feel like I know it. I want to share it. I might not be the best speaker. I'm all over the place when I talk, but it's good information.
Yeah. Yeah. And honestly, I mean,
I'll stick to my script.
Yeah. Well, it is different, like being in front of people versus being behind a camera. But
yes.
I don't know. I was scared of it at first. Now I really enjoy it. It's just a different type of vibe. And I feel like it humbles you, because you will make mistakes. And then the grace that people give you when you make those mistakes, you're like, it's all right. We're all human. Like, whatever, you know?
I hope so. Or they're going to throw tomatoes at me. No, I'm just kidding. But I'm just kidding. I always just want, in case someone's listening to this and they're like, I've seen her speak. She was so fun. I just want to make this clear. I do speak motivational speaking. I do a lot of telling my story. I love that kind of speaking. I'm up there telling my story. Nobody could correct me. Nobody's angry about my story. I didn't make up my story. Like, whereas this is a very controversial topic. Unfortunately, it shouldn't be. And that's what makes me nervous, is, you know what I mean? But we're all human, and I want people to like me.
Yeah.
I don't want them to hate me because they have a different opinion than me. But I will say, one of my first slides in the presentation is, this is a judgment-free zone. If you are here to just learn, but you don't like anything I say, you just want to hear what I have to say, I'm fine with that. I'm all about healthy debate, right? But if you're there with a bag of tomatoes just to throw at me, then that's like the same thing on social media. When someone's like, hey, I'm confused, I heard this, this, and this, I think you might be wrong. That's different than, you're an idiot, blah, 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 blah. You know what I mean? So it's fine if you're confused and want to learn more, but if you're coming in with such a hatred, that's where we draw the line, both on social media and in real life, right?
Yeah, totally. I know there is a difference there. What is one myth that you wish would just go away for good?
Oh, hands down, the fluoride myth. Right now, as we've been saying, it's a really hot topic because some communities are starting to remove fluoride from the water supply. This worries me, because we know from tons and tons of research that fluoride in our water helps prevent tooth decay, especially for people who might not have access to regular dental care. Removing fluoride will worsen public health, particularly in areas with high rates of dental disease. Our most vulnerable, low-income communities and children will be hit the hardest. So I wish we could clear up those misunderstandings around fluoride once and for all, and remind everyone that it's an important public health measure that reduces cavities and improves oral health overall.
Yeah, well said. So before we wrap up, I just already learned so much from you, so thank you. But last time we didn't get a chance to talk about Better Mouth, so I just wanted to talk about that.
Thank you, Better Mouth. Okay, so I mean, after everything we just talked about, right? Misinformation, marketing gimmicks, fear-based selling, this is exactly why I'm part of Better Mouth, because so much of the dental misinformation out there is, like we said, people pushing products by claiming they are the secret to perfect teeth, whatever the case. And as dental professionals, we know that's not how it works. There's no secret. There's no magic fix. Everything we just talked about, it all comes back to the basics, right? Brushing twice a day, flossing daily, eating a balanced diet, drinking water, seeing your dentist regularly. The simple things, they aren't sexy, but they are so powerful. And since around, I think there's different statistics, right? Give or take, but around 40% of people only brush their teeth once a day. Before we even talk about anything else like fancy, we need to help people get consistent with home care, like brushing twice a day, right? The simple things. So that's why I became the oral health advisor for the Better Mouth app. It's an app. It's a free app. Right now it's in the App Store for iPhones, and it's coming to Android soon. But if you go to bettermouth.com, there's a waiting list for the Android. Anyway, it's designed to help people build strong daily habits for their oral health. There's a free version and a paid version. I'm actually using the free version right now, and it's so nice because it gives you the tools to track your brushing so you can keep up with your streaks, complete dental challenges. There's knowledge quizzes. prizes, there's badges. You could win prizes and product if you log, say, like so many brushing days in a row. Every month they have different like badges you could win and prizes. Like if you win, or if you log your brushing for 30 days, you get a free toothbrush, or you get, you know what I mean? There's like different, so it's free. It's free. So anyway, it all kind of just helps people in a gamified, fun way stay on top of their routines. And I've had so many people message me saying it's helped them get back on routine when they've been struggling with brushing or flossing. But overall, sorry, I know I keep talking, but I'm just very passionate about it. Most importantly, it's evidence-based. So there's no gimmicks, no fear. It's just helping people stay consistent with the basics, which is the actual key to preventing disease, as we know. It's just brushing, flossing, you track it, there's gamified, fun results.
So they just brush their teeth and then they log it into the app?
Yes. And then there's also a timer. So if you're using a manual toothbrush, there's a 2-minute timer. Okay. If you have an electric toothbrush that you already, times you literally just log it. There's also these, so like then if you want to win prizes and stuff, there's like a quiz section. I don't know if you use the Peloton app. It kind of reminds me of the Peloton app, like where there's like different, okay, I want a quiz. There's like different challenges. You could do like the gum health challenge. You could do the cavity prevention challenge. And then there's like different extra videos and quizzes you have to watch. It's fun. It's like a game. It's a gamified app. It's super simple, but I don't know if you've had patients like people that it can benefit anyone. Me and my husband love to just track we compete, like who has more days tracked, who's going to win the free white strips this month, even though we're both like part of this app, but like it's still fun to compete with people. I've found a group that really is benefiting from it recently is anyone undergoing any type of depression or mental health challenges where you need that extra motivation, right? I can't remember if it's the free version or the paid version, but one of them, you could get text messages to remind you, like motivational, like, hey, it's time to brush before you go to sleep, stuff like that. And maybe it's whichever version it's in. And some people just like seeing that streak made them get up and do it. Like anything that motivates people when they're having a hard time, I'm so for that because I understand that when it's like hard to even make yourself get in the shower. I've never had it for brushing and flossing, but I've had it where I'm like, I'm just too sad. Like I'm having a hard time. I don't even want to take a shower today. I remember that life. I've lived that life. I had a rough time before. And so knowing that it can motivate people who are struggling, it can also motivate people who just want to have that extra fun in their life. It can also motivate people who just want to win free stuff. Yeah. Like why not? Right? It's free.
Yeah. So. I'm sure this is, like you said, it's great for adults, but for kids, this is so good. They all like games, they like tech, and starting these habits early is just going to help them later.
Yes. And we don't have a specific kid version right now. Right now, it's like kind of to use with your kid. So the parent and the kid together. But there's a lot of reading, right? We don't have too many photos for the little kid yet. The more I learn about children's apps, if you have to read, it's for ages reading and up. But there's a lot of videos though, too. So like the parent can put the video on. So you use it with the parent. But yeah, there's videos to show proper technique. There's all this extra stuff. And I'm so happy to be So as the oral health advisor, I obviously didn't create the app. I wouldn't know how to create an app, but I just make sure all the content is evidence-based and correct, making sure everything you learn about dental health on there is evidence-based.
It's real.
And so I'm proud to be part of it. It is so cool to get the emails and the feedback on how it's really helped people, or like the people that say, I do every 3-month recares. And I just graduated to 4-month recares. I'm like, what? They're like, really? Like, I've never brushed this much. Aww. That makes me so happy. I'm so happy to be involved with it.
That's awesome. So you said it's an app for iPhones right now, Android soon. Is there like a website or something too?
Yeah,
okay.
bettermouth.com.
Okay.
So if you are really eager because you have an Android and you want to know when it's coming, bettermouth.com. You could go on the waiting list and they'll email you when it's here. I don't know the time frame, but I think sometime this year. But if you have an iPhone, you just go in the App Store, Bettermouth, and you'll see it.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's like a tongue.
Okay.
It's like an emoji tongue.
I've seen some of the stuff online. I don't know, because I know I follow them too. I don't know if it was their content or yours, but it's really cute.
Oh, cool. No, I don't do. So that's funny. I approve everything to make sure it's right, but I don't create anything. Oh, okay. If that makes sense. On the Instagram. Okay. So I won't take credit for the creation if it's cute, but I just make sure the information is good.
Okay.
I just make sure but some of my videos are in the challenges. So it'll be like, watch Teeth Talk Girl's video, like to, blah, blah, blah. So some of my videos are incorporated, which is cool. So you might see me on there, but yeah, I love it. Thank you. That's so cool. You followed them. Thank you for following me.
Yeah. Well, I'll put the links and stuff in the show notes and also for you.
Oh, I'm using.
Oh, nice.
I have a marker on it right now.
For those listening, she's drinking out of a big ass Stanley that says Better Mouth on it.
I just realized that's so funny.
That's funny. So any final words before we wrap up about misinformation?
Yeah, depending on who's listening, whether you're a dental professional or a patient who's just a tooth enthusiast, right? Just never feel bad. Try to take emotion out of it. That's a big part of my presentation as well. This isn't meant to be an argument. Just remember, we can all meet somewhere. We can all meet that we all want to be healthy. Mm-hmm. The patient coming in who doesn't want fluoride, they want to be healthy. And we saying, no, you should use fluoride. We all have the same goal in mind. So we just need to find out how to get there and make everyone comfortable while getting there. I know like nanohydroxyapatite, we can have a whole another hour talking about that and the alternatives. There's so much to know about alternatives. Don't get excited when you see, I don't want to like bash it. I think it's great. The science is great with things that are alternatives, but you need to really read. These alternatives are not regulated. So it's up to you to really look and make sure it has everything it needs to have. I'm trying to like say it so quickly because this is a whole, I could talk for hours, but long story short, don't jump on things just because you heard someone talk about it. Make sure what they're saying is actually correct. There's so much to know. A lot of these things aren't regulated. Just fun fact, when something isn't regulated, that means anyone could sell it and anyone could say something's in it that isn't in it. So like, for example, nanohydroxyapatite, most of the science and the research is done at 10% at that concentration. So if something's not 10%, we can't guarantee results. And having said that, even if they say there's 10% in it, you're trusting this company over any kind of regulatory body. I know a lot of people have problems with the FDA, the ADA. A lot of people, nothing's perfect, but at least it's another set of eyes on this company. You're just trusting this company who wants to sell their product. I have a problem with that. So be careful when people are just selling things because it sounds good. Make sure there's some kind of medical regulatory process above these products. No, but long story short, there's so much to be, like you said, you're cynical, skeptical, whatever you want. It's good to be that way because you have to be really careful. Just really stick to actual science, evidence-based information. And then remember the goal isn't to argue. It's not your patient's fault. They fell prey to misinformation.
Yeah.
It's not their fault. And if they're not ready to change their minds and do something different that you're advising, just like meet them where they're at and do the best you can. And you need to gain their trust for them to accept your opinion.
Yeah. And sometimes that takes a while. I like your tips too that you gave before on like how to spot maybe something that's not legit online. So, well, thank you so much, Whitney. I'll put all of your information, contact information in the show notes. And I just hope that you speak to super packed rooms. I'm sure they will be at your conferences coming up. It's going to go great.
Thank you so much. And thank you for having me. Thank you for spreading evidence-based information. Thank you for everything you do.
Of course. Well, thank you everyone for listening, and we will see you next time.